Phillies out in 6 innings. So yeah, he's been tough out there in the mound so far for the Brewers.
Well, Mike Everett calling balls and strikes here tonight. C.B. Buckner, Brian Gorman, and the crew chief Jerry Davis on the bases. Jerry Davis will be at first base. Brian Gorman was right in the spotlight yesterday as the third base umpire, and he made the fair call on Tony Clark's double, pinch hit 2 RBI double. Diamondbacks winning yesterday by a final of 5-2, and this series is all even at 1 apiece. And Looper's first pitch is outside, and away we go. Switch hitter Felipe Lopez to start it. He's been a hot hitter for the Diamondbacks. Has 7 hits in his last 4 games, and among the leaders in multi-hit games in all of baseball.
And veteran switch hitter that has always been pretty good at the top of the order. He will take a walk. His on-base percentage almost at 400.
It's been a nice pickup for the Diamondbacks. Orlando Hudson opting for free agency, now playing with the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks went aggressively after Felipe Lopez. He and Looper were teammates last year in St. Louis. Ricky Weeks takes care of him for out number 1. Now, Looper, his last time out, Rocky said he had no use or command of his fastball, and yet still pitched effectively and actually pitched well enough to win.
Yeah, the Brewers won that game 10-5 with some late offense. 5 innings, 3 runs, 2 of them earned. He walked 4, struck out 7, but he was able to battle his way through. That's what good pitchers do. They're not always going to have the good stuff, and Looper did not in his last start, particularly with his fastball. Really didn't have any idea where it was going.
Augie Ojeda back in the starting lineup. He's been down a couple of days with a groin strain, so he's finally back. Josh Wilson has started at short the last 2 games. He's actually played very good defensively, Wilson, but Ojeda, the veteran, is in there tonight. Diamondbacks are without Stephen Drew, their star shortstop, who's on the disabled list with a hamstring injury, and he'll be down another 10 days or so. So Ojeda figures to see some playing time. A lazy fly ball to center, and Mike Cameron hauls it in for out number 2. Now Chris Duffy, Rock, making his first start in left field, gives the Brewers basically 3 center fielders tonight with Duffy, Cameron, and Corey Hart.
Well, got a big base hit yesterday and a pinch hitting opportunity. Able to drive in a run late in the ball game, so always nice, particularly with a guy like Dan Herron on the mound. He's so tough on right-handed hitters. Now the Brewers with 3 lefties in that lineup.
29-year-old Vermont native. Duffy excited to get a chance. He had a big hit yesterday, and at the time it put the Brewers on top. A pinch hit single. Matter of fact, his RBI single yesterday was the first RBI this season by a Brewer pinch hitter. So he was glad to crack the seal on that stat. Chad Tracy back in the lineup tonight. Pinch hit yesterday with Manny Parra starting yesterday's game. Melvin had Tracy on the bench to start.
Yeah, just like the Brewers, the Diamondbacks are very right-hand dominant except for tonight. A couple of switch hitters at the top of the order. Tracy a left-hander, but everybody else bats from the right side. Bit of an advantage for Braden Looper.
And that one's in the air. Should stay playable for Hall. And he's got it. Easy inning for Braden Looper. And now the Brewers ready to face Dan Herron. He's been an all-star the last 2 years. He's on the mound when we come back. Oakland Toyota lineup for Maka tonight. It is Weeks, Council, and Hart at the top. Prince Fielder, Mike Cameron, and Chris Duffy in the middle of the order with Bill Hall, Jason Kendall, and Braden Looper, a good hitting pitcher, rounding it out.
And the U.S. Cellular scouting report on Dan Herron. He doesn't have good run support with his ball club. In his 3 losses, only 1 run combined. We talked about that on our open. He's throwing a cutter right now to complement his very good split-fingered fastball, and he makes him very tough. Doesn't walk many, only 5 walks, and he's had 3 starts this year without a walk. So Brewer batters got to go up there swinging.
So Herron coming off a complete game his last time out. That was against the Cubs. He picked up the win, gave up 2 runs, struck out 10 in 9 innings. His first complete game of the year. Set to face Ricky Weeks. And that classic hesitation at the top of the delivery home for Dan Herron. The Brewers saw Herron at the end of spring training in the Cactus League. And he pitched well that day. He showed that new wrinkle in his repertoire, the cut fastball, in his 5 innings against the Brewers in late April. Weeks sends that one to center field, playable for Burns. And 1 away. Here's how the Diamondbacks line up tonight. They've moved Burns to center field. No Chris Young in the lineup, as it's Jackson in left and Upton in right, flanking Burns. And then it's Reynolds, Augie Ojeda to start tonight at short, Felipe Lopez, then Chad Tracy. Chris Snyder starting his 3rd straight game, catching Herron. The Menards Diamondbacks lineup. Craig Counsell back in there tonight. Had a good night last night. 3 hits, scored a run, had a double. And J.J. Hardy, a mental break as his manager calls it, gets another night off. He'll be in there tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been a tough start to the season for J.J. Hardy. And it was kind of a surprise to everybody because he had such a good spring. I mean, he was raking all spring. It started in the inter-squad games, end of February, and just continued to hit, but for whatever reason just kind of shut it down. Has not been able to get it going. And Ken Maka sits him down, gives him a mental rest. No BP for JJ. Persona non gratis in that batting cage right now.
And as a matter of fact, Hardy and Braun were no shows for batting practice on manager's orders. Braun with the tight back, does not appear to be serious for Braun as Counsell strikes out. But this is a long stretch of games here for the Brewers. They're in the middle of a 17-in-a-row stretch. A day game tomorrow. So
there's that cut fastball that we were talking about right there. Just a little bit of a wrinkle in it right at the last minute as it gets to home plate. And Craig Counsell over the top of it. Not a bad day for Ken Maka to give a couple of right-handers a day off, particularly with Dan Herron out there on the mound.
Yeah, that's the other part of the equation.
Yeah.
Maka knows Herron as well as anyone. Herron was traded from the Cardinals to the A's for the 05 season. That was a ball club in Oakland managed by Ken Maka, and he saw the emergence of a future star and a future all-star there in Oakland. A couple of breaking balls to Corey Hart, and it's a ball and a strike.
Yeah, he's going to throw that split-fingered fastball early in the count. He'll start a hitter off with it. That pitch was a 1-0 count. Able to drop it in for a strike. Not many guys can do that with a splitter.
Now Braun missing his first game of the year, which means Corey Hart for the first time this season batting third. Normally a 2-hole hitter in the Brewers lineup. Prince Fielder now the last man standing to have played every game. It was Hart and Braun and Fielder, and then Braun and Fielder, and after tonight, Fielder. As Hart strikes out. So Herron, 2 strikeouts and a scoreless first inning. Brewers go in order, and we head to the second. Braden Looper back on the mound. A sellout tonight at Miller Park. Stay with us.
And both of them hoping that their pitchers try to work the outside corner to right-handers. They don't want any part of a baseball. Chris Duffy barely can see. Shielding his eyes with his glove, having a tough time.
That's what he's dealing with. The FOD, the field of death, here at the 6 o'clock start. Had the roof open today for batting practice, so kind of warming up for preparations to open the roof for a game, possibly tomorrow, which would be the first time. Now, they did have the roof open for a minor league game in here a couple of Fridays ago, but no big league game yet. Still on the cool side as Reynolds hits one to left. Duffy shading his eyes and recovers well. Man, that was a very good play from Chris Duffy.
Boy, what a lonely feeling it's got to be out there when you can barely see the infield, let alone a baseball coming at you. And a line drive at that. That might have been the best that could have happened. A line drive, maybe something a little bit higher in the air, be tougher. Duffy doesn't have the glasses on, though. Able to make a nice catch.
And starts in the shaded position. Yeah, you don't really think about flip down glasses in a dome stadium, but here at Miller Park, that's the tough spot, especially for a 6 o'clock start.
Yep, no flip downs, no eye black, nothing.
Just the glove. Justin Upton. It was his infield hit that started the rally for the Diamondbacks last night. That one hit well out to second. Weeks is right there for it. And 2 up and 2 down, and Braden Looper has retired 5 in a row.
Visit the official online shop of the Brewers at brewers.com. Browse the largest selection of authentic team gear, including clubhouse caps and t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and much more. Get your team gear straight from the source. Shop the brewers.com shop.
Connor Jackson with 2 outs. Jackson hitting third last night. Bob Melvin bumping him down in the order a little bit, maybe take a little pressure off. He's hit all over the lineup in the series. First day he hit behind Reynolds in the 5 spot. He hit third last night, and tonight Bob Melvin has him in the 6 hole.
Well, just trying to find something to get the offense going. We've seen Ken Maka do that a little bit. Diamondbacks aren't scoring many runs right now. They scored just enough yesterday.
Well, the D-backs dead last in team batting average at .231, and they're near the bottom in runs scored. As Jackson goes down swinging. 6 up, 6 down with a punch out for Braden Looper. Great start tonight. His first 3 starts, all of them losses.
Yeah, his last time out, they scored a month worth of runs for him. 7 runs. Goodness. There always seems to be a pitcher in that spot in the rotation that just never seems to get runs. You know, back in my day, it was Danny Darwin. He never used to get any runs. Bill Wegman was the guy that never got any run support.
Is that right? Well, it might have something to do with Herron, you know, matching up against the other team's ace on occasion. Diamondbacks scored 10 runs against the Cubs on Wednesday before this series began. And you think about how the series kind of played out. Remember, they scored 1 run on Thursday. The Brewers won 4-1, but hadn't scored much until the 4-run 8th inning last night. Bob Melvin was wondering if his club was ever going to hit again. And it took an infield hit and a questionable double to kind of get their offense jump started.
Yeah, don't forget about the walk, too. Those walks always seem to hurt. 2 outs, nobody on in that 8th inning, and a walk. And open the floodgates.
Fielder draws the walk, so the first base runner of the ball game comes in the 2nd inning. Fielder now with 18 walks.
And only the 6th walk allowed by Dan Herron to go along with 38 strikeouts.
Well, Herron has the 2nd best earned run average in the league, 1.54 coming in. Only Santana with a better ERA for the New York Mets. Brew Crew with a man on for Mike Cameron. Cameron jumps on the first pitch, fly ball to right. Upton's got it for out number 1.
And you know, that run support thing means a lot when you talk about, you know, how a pitcher is able to navigate through a game. I mean, if you're always 0-0 or you're down 1-0, you pitch a little bit differently because you know your offense isn't going to bail you out if you give up a few runs. And I think it's a lot tougher to pitch when you're not getting run support. You know, Santana, I'm sure, gets a lot better run support than does Dan Herron.
Or you can just do what Giovanni Gallardo did and provide your own run support.
Right.
And 1-0 win the other day.
Now, pitching coaches will tell you got to go out there and act like it's 0-0 every time you make a pitch. But you know, in reality, that doesn't happen.
Right. Chris Duffy, his 2nd start of the year. Started the game earlier on this homestand on Wednesday. He was in the lineup for that Giovanni Gallardo shutout, combining with Carlos Villanueva. And Duffy had his first hit in that game on Wednesday and then delivered a pinch hit RBI single last night. I was talking to Duffy before the game. I said, man, you pulled a Yogi Berra right there. You pulled that one right off the ground for a base hit, because I was hacking no matter what. I needed to go up there and deliver for my team finally. And a pinch hit RBI, the first of the year.
Very good pitch that he was able to dump into left field.
Back to Herron. 1-6-3 double play. And that's the inning. So Herron works around a leadoff walk. And the speedy Duffy gunned down. 1-6-3, 2 outs, 1 swing of the bat. And we're off and running at Miller Park. 2 in the books, no score. We head to the 3rd. Baseball on WMLW is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by American TV. American, huge selection, real service, the low price guaranteed. Big crowd on hand tonight at the beautiful Miller Park, and we are glad to be on WMLW. Braden Looper and Dan Herron off to very good starts tonight. Looper 6 up, 6 down with a strikeout. Herron has 2 punch outs. Did walk a man last inning, but a double play wiped it out. Sun kind of blasting off the hitter's eye in center field. It's got to be tough to see right now.
Yeah, players don't like these 6 o'clock starts. They like that when the sun goes down and they can get full effect of that batter's eye and see very well, but got to be tough to see. Nothing like the 3 o'clock starts, though.
That one hit into center. Long run for Cameron, and he'll run it down. Cameron gets to full speed as quick as anybody. Easy play. Well, in just 10 minutes, you get your most important news and complete first alert weather on CBS 58 News every single night in the first 10 minutes. Beautiful weekend here in Wisconsin. You know, it was great today to hear the lawnmowers and the birds chirping. Kind of starting to feel like spring and summer.
Opening day of fishing season today.
That's right.
Here in Wisconsin.
Did you get out there?
I didn't. Had to get lawn furniture out.
Lawn furniture first, then the boat.
Right. Work, then play.
That was a great sight. I tell you, Wisconsin in the summer, and we're starting to get a taste of it now. The weather's beautiful. Kids everywhere in the neighborhoods. A lot of people out on the lakes. And hopefully soon Bob Uecker will be bringing some of his fresh fish in for us to enjoy here in the press box.
Yep, the cohos and kings, the lake trout. Good eating.
2-2 the count on Chris Schneider. Diamondback catcher. He's caught in every game in this series, and he'll get most of the workload. You would imagine Montero would catch tomorrow. Day game after a night game. A big, strong, talented young catcher in Chris Snyder off to a slow start with the bat. And he lines that one to Weeks. Ricky pulls it down. Mistimed his jump a little bit, but still able to get the leather around it for out number 2.
Almost appeared as though he didn't see it off the bat very well. Talked about the visibility, maybe a bit questionable right now, but bottom line, Ricky able to make the catch. Ball almost by him when he grabbed it.
Had it all the way. Well, like Dan Herron, Braden Looper featuring a split finger fastball. And like Dan Herron, Looper can swing the bat as well. Herron was a position player in college. He was actually a designated hitter at Pepperdine. So he played major Division I college baseball, and he went to college mostly as an offensive weapon. Not here, though. Strikes him out. Looper 9 up, 9 down with 2 strikeouts. Sunscreen on, SPF 90. Sunshades. There's a couple of cool cats right there. Look at them. Some of the best in the business here, providing your eyes to Brewers baseball. Director Michael Odino, producer Chris Withers tonight. We are scoreless as we head to the third inning. Bill Hall, Jason Kendall, and Braden Looper against Dan Herron. Herron making his 6th start of the year. It's always a good study to watch a pitcher after a complete game. Herron pitching against the Cubs on Monday. The Diamondbacks the day before, Sunday, played a 12-inning game against the Giants, and Bob Melvin's bullpen was spent. Couldn't have asked for a better start from Herron, who went the distance as Hall pops it up a mile high. Tracy makes the play for out number 1. He certainly looked strong in the early going, despite going the distance his last time out. He just carved up the Cubs. He did give up 2 runs, one of those a home run to Alfonso Soriano, but Rocky punched out 10 Chicago Cubs and didn't walk a batter.
Yeah, he only gave up 3 base hits, and in that 9-inning complete game, only 111 pitches. So you don't figure that to affect him too much here tonight. That's not a very high pitch count.
Herron, with the 2 strikeouts tonight, has 38 punch-outs in 37 innings this year.
Doesn't throw too much this straight, does he? I mean, that looked like a pretty good slider. He's throwing the cutter, commands the fastball very well, and that split that'll throw at any time, at any count.
And Kendall, his former catcher in Oakland, lines one to left center. And the first hit of the ball game belongs to the Brewers. Kendall used to talk about Dan Herron in Oakland like he talks about Giovanni Gallardo this year.
High fastball out over the plate. Jason's starting to swing the bat much better. Got off to a tough start first week to 10 days, but starting to center on the baseball a lot better. Dan Herron threw that one about 91 miles an hour. That's about his top. But he throws so many of those off-speed pitches that fastball, that's average at best, gets on you pretty quick.
Braden Looper up there to drop a bunt down, advance Kendall. Kendall with his 3rd hit of the series. And Looper does get the bunt down. Herron's only play is at first. Good bunt. 2nd sacrifice bunt of the year for Looper. And the Brewers with a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. Looper does his job.
Well, he's one of the best in the business. At that last year with the Cardinals, had 13 consecutive sacrifice bunts. That's all you can expect from your pitcher. Base hits are a bonus. When they have to bunt, you want them to be able to execute, and Looper able to do it. Just catches the baseball with the barrel of the bat, dens it nicely, and gets the job done.
And we'll see if the Brewers can cash in here. Ricky Weeks, back to the top of the order we go. Kendall with a single. Looper bunts him to second. Weeks up there with 2 outs. Ricky's had some big hits on this homestand already. Twice Weeks has put the Brewers on top. He had a great series against the Pirates. And on this homestand, Ricky, 6 hits, 2 of those home runs, and has 7 RBIs. This is game number 6 of the homestand. Brewers, for the most part, do not have a lot of reps against Dan Herron. Matter of fact, he did not start against the Crew last year. And hasn't pitched against Milwaukee since the 04 season when he was pitching in St. Louis. "28 years of age, out of Monterey Park, California, and a bona fide ace. That one squirts between the legs of Snyder, and there goes Kendall to third. Chris Snyder has had a tough time behind the plate in this series. Normally a good defensive catcher.
Well, and anytime you have Herron out there in the mound, you got to figure to get some pitches in the dirt. Herron has got to keep that splitter down low. If he hangs it, it's going to get hit, and you got to anticipate that ball in the dirt. You see that wide setup for Snyder. Sometimes he has a tough time moving around that way.
Yeah, you noticed that the other day when he had two wild pitches in the same inning. Be alert for one here. Now, certainly pitchers watch games and they recognize that fact. A couple of wild pitches that actually cost the Diamondbacks in game one of this series, and you wonder how much bite Herron will put on his breaking ball and his split finger with a runner at third base. Is he as confident? We'll find out right here. 3-1 the count on Weeks, and Herron wants to start over. Snyder with those fingers painted white again. And a breaking ball high, almost hit Weeks. So runners at first and third. Second walk issued by Dan Herron, and that'll get Counsell to the plate.
Well, let's see how that wild pitch that got through the legs of Snyder affects Herron the rest of the way, particularly the man at third base. Does Herron have confidence in his catcher to bounce that breaking pitch? That last one to Ricky was up.
Now Snyder is a big man. He's 6'4", 250. And a little bit of an unorthodox stance behind the plate. Pre-pitch, very wide.
Yes, he is. And it's got to be tough to move either way. I guess because he's so big, and as a guy that's 6'3" myself, and as a catcher, you got to figure out a way to be able to move and go side to side, not just down. And when you're that spread out, it's very difficult to do that. You kind of lock yourself up.
Counsell slaps one foul, trying to squirt one down the line.
Now, the other thing they tell you, catching coaches, when you set up, never have your elbows inside your knees. I mean, you can't get the pitches that are way in or way out. You can't move your arms very well. Sometimes those knees will block you out. And Chris Snyder does that.
In stark contrast to a guy like Jason Kendall, who's about as small as you can get behind the plate.
And watch the way his elbows are inside his knees. Tough to reach for a ball sometimes like that.
0-2 on Counsell with 2 outs. And a little grounder over to first, and the side retired. Counsell rolls out. Herron another scoreless inning, but the Brewers get a hit and a walk. Barely going after 3 complete. Looper has retired 9 straight. 9 up, 9 down with 2 strikeouts. Meanwhile, Dan Herron bent a little in the 3rd inning. Gave up a hit and a walk. But 3 scoreless innings for Herron. And here we go to the 4th. Lopez, little roller out to Weeks. And that's 10 in a row retired by Braden Looper. That leads us to our trivia question tonight, courtesy of Subway. And Rock, what member of the current D-backs coaching staff was the Brewers bench coach and fall league manager in 1999? Bench coach and fall league manager.
Good one.
In 99.
I don't know. Do you know?
Yes, I do.
Of course. I mean, do you really know?
I do. I really do. 99, Rock.
Okay.
Get into that media guide.
Doesn't help me.
Ojeda falls behind 0-2. What, Braden Looper has good command tonight of his fastball, which sets up everything else in his repertoire.
And he was still able to pitch pretty well his last time out and really had no idea where his fastball was going. I mean, he admitted that after the ball game. Still able to pitch 5 strong innings, but much different tonight.
Ojeda flew out to left field in the 1st inning. Switch hitting shortstop in there for Stephen Drew. Ojeda has been down with a leg injury the last couple of days. And down he goes. Looper punches him out with a strike on the inside corner. A fastball from Looper, and that was the pitch that was not available for him his last time out.
And that's a pitch you have to have when you're pounding split-fingered fastballs and off-speed pitch. You got to keep the guys honest on the inside corner. Hey, fans, elect your favorite Brewers to the 2009 All-Star team. Vote early, vote often, and vote Brewers now through July 2nd at Brewers.com.
2 outs for Chad Tracy. Looper has retired 11 straight. Tracy popped up foul territory in the 1st. The Brewers have not lost when Braden Looper has started this year. They are a perfect 4-0. Looper is 2-0. And will be among the league leaders after this start in earned run average if he continues to put up zeros. He'll log enough innings. Right now he's at 2.45. That's inside the top 10. Popped him up again. And Duffy, under much better conditions, makes the play. 3 up, 3 down, and Braden Looper rolling right along. 12 straight retired. Fourth. Roof is closed in our Subway trivia tonight. What member of the current D-backs coaching staff was the Brewers bench coach and fall league manager in '99? And if you guessed Bob Melvin, you guessed correctly.
I didn't understand the question.
You didn't? What threw you off, Rock?
The bench coach thing. I knew it was the bench coach, but I thought it was the bench coach in the fall league.
Okay.
I was completely messed up on that.
Because who would know who the bench coach would be in the fall league, right?
Right.
That would be pretty random.
Right.
Well, Bob Melvin.
Okay.
Former Brewer coach. Melvin played about a decade in the big leagues. Matter of fact, he was a very high draft pick. As an amateur player, he was a first rounder by the Tigers in '81. He was a catcher.
Good defensive catcher.
So he knows a thing or two about not only the expectations that come along with playing at a high level, but also a decade as a player in the league. He's been a coach, spent 2 years in Seattle as a manager, and now in his 5th year in Arizona. He was the manager of the year in the National League in '07. Hart, a pop-up that's playable. Tracy settles under it for out number 1. Brewers had a chance last inning. They had 2 on with 2 out. Could not punch a run across. So here is Fielder, one of 3 Brewer base runners tonight. Fielder walked in the 2nd. The 2 walks and a hit given up by Herron. That's one of his best fastballs that's in there for strike 1. I was just asked, by the way, who was the manager in '99 that Bob Melvin was the bench coach for. That would be Phil Garner.
Phil Garner, yeah.
Little chopper. Ojeda's got it. And a high throw, and it gets off the Brewers dugout. Diamondbacks catch a break and hit the netting between the rails. Otherwise, Fielder is standing at second base.
Back-to-back nights for the Diamondbacks with errors after having a nice stretch of innings and games without committing an error. Well, when you're not scoring runs, which the Diamondbacks aren't, you can't give teams extra outs. And that one not even close. Chad Tracy just gets out of the way and tries to retrieve it once Prince Fielder is out of the way.
Yeah, you let him run on by. The Diamondbacks had a stretch of games where they did not commit an error that covered 85 innings. Ojeda commits his 2nd. The Diamondbacks with 13 errors this year. And that opens the door a little bit for Mike Cameron.
Good curveball by Herron. He just seems to be throwing about 3 or 4 different pitches up there for strikes anytime he wants them. Hadn't thrown too many cut fastballs. He's thrown a few. But 4 seamers, splitters, and he just flipped up that curveball to Mike Cameron.
Cameron tied with Ricky Weeks and Ryan Braun for the club high in home runs. 5 home runs for Cameron this year. 15 runs batted in. Fielder is still the club leader in RBIs, but Cameron has been extremely productive. And really, when you look at the Brewers' success, winning 8 of their last 10, that coincides with Cameron moving up into the 5-hole in the order. Remember, Ken Maka flip-flopped Cameron and Hardy 2 weeks ago. Put Cameron in that position to protect Fielder, and since then the Brewers have taken off.
Just a little adjustment. It doesn't really appear on paper that it's going to mean that much, but it certainly did. Just finding a combination in that order. That works.
Cameron fouls one off, but it's into the middle of the catcher Snyder, and it's a strikeout.
Hey fans, tomorrow catch your Milwaukee Brewers in action as they take the field once again against the Diamondbacks in the 4th of this 4-game series. That game starts at 1:05. Be there as all fans through the gates. Get a Ryan Braun collectible bobblehead that's compliments of Time Warner Cable.
Ryan out of the lineup tonight. Slight back injury, tightness in the back is the official call, and expected to be back in there tomorrow.
And is available to pinch hit late if need be.
Ken Maka saying before the game he'd rather not use Ryan Braun. He'd rather give him a complete day off, especially after the fact that he did not take batting practice, but has him available. Duffy gets the start instead. Duffy rolled into a 1-6-3 double play last time up. The Crew has had base runners in the last 3 innings. Still nothing across, however. And down goes Duffy. Snyder will have to secure it at first. Nope, he put the tag on him, and that's the inning. 4th strikeout for Dan Herron. Pitching as advertised here tonight. Herron with back-to-back strikeouts of Cameron and Duffy to win the inning. We head to the 5th. Looper takes to the mound for his 5th inning of work. Got a few brides in the audience here tonight among the sellout crowd. Mark Reynolds leads off. Looper has retired 12 straight to start this game. Has 3 strikeouts. Reynolds, Upton, and Jackson, first 3 up for the D-backs. Looper, a key free agent pickup for Doug Melvin and the Brewers this offseason. He was a late sign. Last night's starter John Garland signed with the Diamondbacks, and it was right around that same time that Looper chose the Brewers as his next stop. And both signed similar deals.
Man, nice to have that veteran presence in that starting rotation. You heard Billy Castro before the game today. The importance of some of his starts so far. You know, really setting the pace for this rotation.
Full count on Mark Reynolds. And he lines one into right center. That's a base hit. First hit of the game for the Diamondbacks. That one's going to go to the wall. Reynolds on his way to second, and he'll stop there with a double. So after 12 straight retired, the Diamondbacks finally get a man on. And it's Reynolds who rings one to right center for a double.
Well, Looper didn't want to walk him. He got down in the count 3-1. Able to throw a pitch to get to full count, then got one up in the strike zone pretty much right down the middle. And Mark Reynolds doing something that we haven't seen from him. Taking the ball to the opposite field. That's a pretty good stroke. So a leadoff double for the Diamondbacks.
And here's Justin Upton. He pushes a bunt right side. Tough play for Fielder, and that's a base hit. Couldn't have rolled it out there any better. Upton with an infield bunt single. And the D-backs have runners at the corners with nobody out.
Now, the way this game's going, that's not a bad play. Bob Melvin likes it. I mean, worst case scenario, you get Reynolds over to third base with less than 2 outs. Best case is what happened. He gets the base hit. He put it in the perfect spot. Nothing wrong with a push bunt. You get it by the pitcher, you're almost guaranteed a base hit. And that's exactly what he did. The idea there is to get it toward Ricky a little bit more. Past Looper, and there's not even going to be a play.
We'll see if Upton is on the move here. First and third for Arizona, nobody out. And it's Connor Jackson, and there's strike one.
Now you certainly give up the run to turn 2. And that's what the Brewers are doing.
There's a base hit. A run will score. The Diamondbacks are on the board first. RBI single for Jackson. Sounded like he might have broken his bat. But it comes up with a run-producing hit, and Arizona leads 1-0.
Now this inning, Looper is starting to get his fastball up in the zone a little bit. Early in the game, it was down on the corners. Jackson able to muscle that into center field because it was up in the zone. Check it out. And you get that ball down, it might be that ground ball that he was looking for. But the fact that it's up, a little bit out over the plate, able to dump it in front of Cam in center.
RBI number 13 for Jackson. 3 straight hits to start the inning. And Looper and Hall will discuss the play on a bunt.
That'll be an interesting decision with 8 and 9 coming up in the order. But the Diamondbacks have been desperate to score runs.
Burns not bunting, and he takes a ball. Hall is a step on the grass at third base.
Now you bunt with Burns and you get the out. You have second and third, and you got 8 and 9 coming up. That's not really ideal if you're the Diamondbacks. You'd rather have Burns try and drive one in here.
And with that in mind, Billy Hall backs up a few steps. And backs up even more now.
Yeah, 1-0, you back up a little bit. 2-0, you back up quite a bit.
3-0, you go stand in the outfield. Now Looper retired 12 in a row, then 3 straight hits to start this 5th inning. Looper does have some strikeout potential tonight, it looks like. He does have 3 punch outs. And can certainly use one right here in this spot.
It might be a hit and run situation for Arizona. 2-1. Decent speed on the bases. Real good speed at second.
Burns on the ground. Hall's got it. Fires to second for one. The turn. Fielder able to block it. I thought Hall might go for Upton. He was right in front of him. Gets the out at second base. Diamondbacks with runners at the corners and one away.
Yeah, Billy didn't look all that comfortable on this from the beginning. That might have been his best play to get that lead runner, because once he kind of hesitated, no chance for the double play. And Prince Fielder with a very good play coming off the bag, just keeping it in front of him.
So the putout is 5-4. Now runners at the corners for Snyder. And he hammers one left field line. This is trouble if it's fair, and that one is a fair ball. Extra bases for Snyder. The throw to the plate, and Burns is in there. 2 RBI double for Chris Snyder. And the Diamondbacks lead it 3-0.
Boy, what happened to this game? Braden Looper 12 up, 12 down, and it has been tough to get outs in the 5th. First pitch to Snyder. A sinker that tried to get down and in, left it up. Looked like Snyder was looking inside. Hits it right to the base of the wall. 2 runs come in.
And that was the key hitter with the pitcher coming up, Herron. If you can get Snyder and get to 2 outs, a chance to get out of the inning with no further damage. But Snyder drives in a pair. And now Looper back at work. 3-0 Arizona. Snyder only his 4th and 5th RBIs of the year.
And Dan Herron has to feel like he's hit the jackpot last 2 starts. 10 runs in 2 starts. That's a lot for him.
And Herron in his first 3 starts got just 1 run of offensive support. All 3 of those games losses for Herron. That's how fast it can turn. All 5 hitters in this inning have reached base. 3 hits, a fielder's choice, and then a double by Snyder. Herron out to Counsell. 2 gone. So Snyder stays put. Diamondbacks go back to the top of the order. And the 7th man to hit in the inning, Felipe Lopez.
That's amazing what can happen from inning to inning. And with Braden Looper falling behind Reynolds 3-1, he left the 3-2 pitch up in the zone. And since that time, he's had a tough time getting his fastball down again. Kind of similar to his last start. Got to hope that he's able to get it back together and get that ball down in the zone, get those ground ball outs.
Now Looper in his last start, he threw 101 pitches in 5 innings. He's an out away from getting through the 5th here, and he's only at 65. But without his fastball last time out, he had to resort to the changeup and the splitter, and it ended up being a good game for him. He struck out 7. He never would have imagined that 7 strikeouts was a possibility without basically your number 1 pitch, the pitch that sets up everything else that you have.
And they remember, Braden Looper has 2 different split-fingered fastballs that do 2 different things. One's a hard one, one's a little bit softer.
Strike. Been a quick strike for the Diamondbacks. 3 runs on 4 hits. After Looper had strung together 4 perfect innings. And Lopez slices one down the line, and that one is a foul ball. And a mock cheer from this Brewers crowd after the events last night.
Directed at that man right there. Very informed fans here at Miller Park. Wasn't quite that far from the line, but it was clearly a foul ball. Brian Gorman called it fair to cost the Brewers a couple of runs last night.
Ball and 2 strikes on Lopez. Snyder, who doubled in 2 runs at second. Lopez chops one over to Hall. And that is the inning. But the D-backs score 3 times on 4 hits. Now the Brewers have their work cut out for them. Tonight and every night on CBS 58's 10 at 10 News. Diamondbacks get 3 runs on 4 hits in the 5th inning. String together 3 straight hits to start the inning. And the big blow, a Chris Snyder double. Drove in a pair of runs, and it's 3-0 Arizona as we head to the bottom of the 5th. Dan Herron now staked to a lead. He surrendered just the 1 hit. That was a single by Kendall as Hall bounces one over to Reynolds. He bobbles, recovers, and makes the play in time for out number 1. 1 pitch, 1 out for Dan Herron.
Kind of in a catch-22 against Dan Herron. You don't want to be too aggressive early in the count, but if you get a fastball that you like, you better go after it because he's not going to walk you. I mean, 2 walks in the game for Herron, quite a few. He's had 3 starts this year already without a walk.
And Herron
got such good movement on that fastball. He'll sink it, he'll cut it, he'll four-seam it. He really can't center on it very well.
Now Kendall singled off Herron for the only Brewer hit. That was back in the 3rd inning. Brewers have had a base runner in each of the last 3 innings, but have been unable to bring one across. Kendall was left at 3rd in the 3rd. Herron is the league leader in fewest walks per 9 innings. Averaging slightly over 1 walk per 9 innings on average this year. As his 5+ starts, he's also among the league leaders in strikeouts per 9 innings. Pretty much every major pitching category Herron is involved in, except for wins.
And that's the important stat. Wins and losses.
Kendall serves one out to Lopez for out number 2. Easy play. 2 up and 2 down for Herron.
Now cut fastball a little bit off the outside corner. You can see that Kendall started the bat, saw the late move, and then had a defensive swing. It's kind of the way it's been going so far.
Looper takes a strike.
And he drops that slider on you. First pitch.
Against a pitcher.
Yeah.
That means you know he has good confidence in it. Fastball strike. tough customer on the mound in Dan Herron, if you haven't figured that out yet. And might be at his best this year because of that cut fastball. You know, he used to be a guy that throw the split finger a lot, and it seemed, at least his career path trends out, that he's always started better than he's finished in a particular season. That was the case in Oakland when he pitched for Ken Maka. And one of the reasons why Herron has kind of bounced around a little bit. Been traded twice. He'll be in Arizona for a while. He signed a multi-year deal last August. 4 years, $44 million.
Set a career high in wins last year with the Diamondbacks.
Herron, a 16-game winner last year. Struck out over 200 batters, and he was an all-star for the second straight year. How about his numbers last year, Rock? 40 walks and 200 strikeouts.
Only allowed 16 home runs in that ballpark. That's pretty good. 33 starts last year. Looper hanging in there. Didn't feel good, but he's hanging in there.
Two and two to Braden Looper. 2 outs in the 5th. Diamondbacks with 3 runs in the top of this frame, giving Herron a 3-0 lead as Looper is down on strikes. Herron has number 5 and his best inning so far. So we head to the 6th inning at Miller Park. All Diamondbacks thus far. Usingers in baseball. It's just not summer without them. And by Summerfest. Don't miss Summerfest June 25th through July 5th. Get your 3-day pass for only $33 at summerfest.com today. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Milwaukee Brewers and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Having some fun at the ballpark, singing along to some of the tunes between innings. Big crowd tonight. They have had very little to cheer about thus far. Dan Herron has locked up the Brewers on 1 hit. A 1-hit shutout through 5. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks scoring all 3 of their runs last inning.
This game going pretty much like every other game in this homestand has gone. Not a whole lot of early offense for the Brewers, but some late rallies. Going to have to get it going pretty soon here.
It's been the series of the big inning. 3 for the D-backs last inning. Diamondbacks scored 4 in the 8th last night. And it was the Brewers in the opener of the series that put a 4 spot on the board in the 7th inning. Outside of those innings, dominated by pitching. Augie Ojeda beats one into the ground. Ricky Weeks will handle it for out number 1. Well, a game reset as we play in the 6th. Dan Herron has only surrendered the 1 hit. That was Kendall in the 3rd inning. Otherwise, Herron lights out. Braden Looper retired the first 12 until the Diamondbacks erupted in the 5th. The big hit was Snyder's double, which drove in 2 runs. Snyder swinging at the first pitch that Looper offered. That was a key at bat. Snyder batting in the 8th spot in the order. If Looper gets him there to go to 2 outs, then he's got the pitcher up, and he's got a chance to get out of the inning with only 1 run scoring.
Man, you got to figure Snyder knew that Looper wanted to get ahead of him. He's going to throw him a fastball. He did. He made a mistake with it, and Snyder hit it hard down the line. I don't think the Diamondbacks catcher wanted to wait around for that splitter.
That one's hit well to right. Corey Hart's got a long way to go. Corey Hart runs it down. That little motion with his hand, you knew he had it sized up. As if to tell Mike Cameron, I got it all the way, partner.
Well, he gets a good jump on the baseball. It doesn't hurt that he can run. The fastest base runner for the Brewers. And needed it right there. I mean, took a nice angle on it, right back toward the baseball, full speed, and able to grab it about midway on the warning track.
2 up and 2 down. Mark Reynolds started the mess for the Diamondbacks in the 5th. He doubled to right center. The first Arizona hit. Now, Corey Hart last night had a couple of nice catches in the outfield. One of them he made look easy at the end, but did all of his work at the beginning. Had a good jump and knew where he was. This one was the one that made the highlight reels, sliding into the retaining wall. And another nice catch a moment ago against Tracy.
You see the creativity, say Glovely?
Lovely.
I like it.
You like it? Did you come up with that, Rock?
I didn't, no. Not creative enough.
Things you wish you'd thought of.
Yeah.
Now maybe you can work that into your repertoire here.
That sound like me?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
A Glovely play?
You're quite the poet. Hot smash over to Counsell. And that is the inning. Boy, that was hit like a rocket. Counsell hung in there. 3 up, 3 down for Looper. Lovely audio in there.
I like it.
into his 6th start of the year against the Brew Crew, Ron.
Well, it hasn't allowed a run, only 1 base hit. That was that Jason Kendall single, 1 out in the 3rd inning. I mean, doing exactly what you figured he was going to do. Pound the strike zone with 4 different pitches, keeping the ball off the barrel of the bat, and just picking up right where he left off against the Cubs in his last start.
Herron with 5 strikeouts. He's given up 2 walks through 5 innings. Had a 3-up, 3-down inning in the 5th, and now the Brewers send the top of the order. 3rd time up against Herron, and Weeks hammers one deep left center field. This one is going to bounce off the wall, and Ricky Weeks will lead off with a double. Just what the Brewers needed. Best hit ball of the night, and the Brewers have a man in scoring position to start the 6th inning.
Yeah, high fastball from Herron. It was a 4-seamer, didn't move much. And Ricky waiting for it. There it is, a little bit above the belt, gets on top of it and lines it into the gap in left center. A leadoff base runner for the Brewers for only the 2nd time.
Double number 4 for Ricky Weeks. And with the Brewers down 3 runs, in desperate need of base runners. Only the 2nd hit. Here's Counsell now. Counsell with 3 hits last night. He's 0 for 2 against Herron tonight.
And this is really one of those situations where Craig really doesn't want to give himself up and just hit weakly to 2nd to get Ricky over to 3rd base. You want to try and drive it in that direction. You need base runners. Although it would be nice to be able to break the ice here against Herron and get a run on the board.
And Counsell looking for his first RBI of the year. Those 3 hits last night jumped his average up to 323 to start the day. Counsell into left, playable for Jackson. Out number 1. Now the hits per 9 innings. Dan Herron among the best in the league. He and Giovanni Gallardo on that list. Just over 5 hits per 9 innings for each of those 2. Gallardo's up there in some special company among the league leaders as well in a lot of these side categories that really tell a story. You know, things like opponent's batting average and fewest walks per 9 innings. Matter of fact, Herron and Gallardo are 2 and 3 in the National League in opponent's batting average against.
Now it's not just the hits per innings pitched, it's the walks too for Dan Herron. Not many base runners per game against this guy.
Corey Hart with Weeks at 2nd base. Herron has been especially tough on Corey Hart tonight. Weeks with a leadoff double. Ready to run at 2nd. Two and 1. Hart struck out in the 1st inning, and then he popped up to Tracy at 1st in the 4th. Takes a strike. Herron gave up 2 runs in his last start. 2 home runs by the Cubs, including a leadoff home run by Alfonso Soriano. That was it in 9 innings. The Brewers have not homered in the series. Ken Maka's club last homered against the Pirates in the final game of that series when Gallardo went deep for the only run in that Wednesday finale.
And you know how important it is for the Brewers to hit home runs. I mean, they score an awful lot of their runs via the home run ball. Last year, almost 50%. Very close to that, but you know, it's been the pitching, and that's the reason why the Brewers have gotten off to a good start on this homestand. Haven't scored many runs.
Brewers no longer lead the league in homers. Philadelphia has that title right now as Hart takes a called strike 3, and he knew it. A fastball from Herron. Hart's having a rough night against this right-hander.
Boy, right on the outside corner. That didn't have much of the white. It had a lot of the black. Maybe a seam caught the edge. But that's all it takes. That was a perfect pitch. Hey, the Brewers and the Timber Rattlers are bringing you this fantastic deal. Get one Brewers Terrace Reserve ticket and one Timber Rattlers Reserve bleacher ticket, plus a T-shirt, all for $15. Visit brewers.com/Timber Rattlers.
2 outs, and here's Fielder, and he lines one to center field. That is going to fall, and a base hit for Prince. Rickey will score, and the Brewers are finally on the board as Fielder drives in his club-high 18th run of the year.
Well, first pitch off of both of these pitchers seem to be the best for hitters. Prince attacking first pitch and able to dump it into center field. Didn't hit it all that hard. Fastball going away from him. Prince able to stay on it long enough to dump it in front of Burns, who made a nice try at it. Well, if that ball gets by him, I think Prince is at third base.
So here is Cameron representing the tying run.
That's a dangerous move by Eric Burns right there.
Yep.
He got lucky. He was able to keep that ball in his glove.
Fielder drives in the run. The Brewers have 2 hits in the inning. Weeks a double, Fielder a single. 0-2 on Cameron.
And with 2 outs like that and a man at second, if you play it safe, he's going to score. If you do that, he's going to score. But if it gets by you when you dive, you know, Prince is going to be in scoring position. Not a good move, but he got lucky.
Burns started in left field last night. Gets the call in center for Chris Young tonight. Cameron down 0-2 with Fielder at first, and Herron strikes him out. So the side retired, but the Brewers, a little chink in the armor of Dan Herron, finally get on the board. Fielder an RBI single. Tomorrow, 12:30, we're on the air for Brewers Live on Fox Sports Wisconsin. It'll be Dave Bush against Yusmeiro Petit, and then the Brewers hit the road. Pittsburgh for 2, then Cincinnati for 2, and then right back here at Miller Park Friday. 6 days away from the next homestand. The Cubs coming to town again. Braden Looper out there for the 7th. Had a 3-up, 3-down 6th. Responding well after the Diamondbacks scored 3 runs in the 5th against him on 4 hits. Justin Upton had a bunt single in that inning and launches one here. That one's not coming back. Justin Upton, a monumental home run to left field, and it's 4-1 Arizona.
Yeah, he's starting to swing the bat pretty well. He got off to a slow start. But I'll tell you, he's got as much power as anybody in the game when he gets that extension. He likes to pull the baseball, and got one to pull that time. You can see that big swing, that back leg swing, makes him susceptible to pitches up in the zone and away. See the way he leans back? Everything, all his weight on his back leg. But you make a mistake in there, he's going to hit it a long way.
So the D-backs get their run right back. And plenty of good wood on that one. Look where this one ends up. Off the facing of the Metavante Club in left field. That's one of the longest home runs you'll see to left field here at Miller Park.
Yeah, guys that swing like Justin Upton ordinarily love the pitch down in the zone and like it down and in. And that's exactly where that pitch ended up.
Now the Brewers work so hard to get a run off Dan Herron. Diamondbacks get it right back with one swing of the bat. Upton, home run number 3, has 2 hits. Had a key infield hit last night that tied the game. There's a bouncer out to Counsell, and he'll handle it for out number 1.
Yeah, the 2 at-bats that have hurt Looper the most in this ball game was that first pitch fastball to Chris Snyder and that home run pitch that he threw to Justin Upton, both in identical locations. Tried to get it inside, left it out over the plate, and they both hit him pretty good.
It's funny how you can have success at the plate. As Burns skies one, that's playable for weeks. 2 outs. You look at last night's game, Rod. Here's Justin Upton with 2 RBIs in last night's game. He finishes 1 for 3, but his 2 RBIs came on a bases loaded walk and a little infield dribbler. Tonight, he has an infield hit. He uses the bunt effectively and then comes up with a big fly to left.
Well, the bunt was a pretty good idea. At the time, it was a scoreless ball game, a man at second base with nobody out. He push bunted it towards second base, just trying to get that runner to third base. That's smart baseball. And because he dropped it down so well and was able to use his speed, he got a base hit. Those are the kind of things that make the Diamondbacks very high on that guy.
Well, former number 1 pick. He was in the same draft as Ryan Braun in 05. Justin Upton, his brother BJ, was a first rounder as well with the Rays a few years earlier. That still is turning out to be quite a draft. Ryan Zimmerman was in that draft. Troy Tulowitzki in that draft. Cameron Maben. And Ryan Braun, of course. By the way, Zimmerman extended his hitting streak today for the Nationals. He's hitting 21 consecutive games for Washington. Zimmerman was the first of the group to get to the big leagues. Braun was shortly thereafter.
What was it, a half a year in the minor leagues?
And of course, Braun spent a full season plus 6 weeks of the 07 season in the minor leagues. Upton was in the major leagues at 19. He was in the big leagues in August of 07. Matter of fact, he made his debut against the Brewers that year.
Yeah, he's still trying to figure it out. In the meantime, he's off to a pretty good start.
Snyder off the end of the bat. Cameron did not get a good jump on it. That's going to fall for a base hit. A 2-out hit for Chris Snyder, his second hit of the game.
It looked like a cut fastball or slider away from Snyder, and right off the end of the bat, I think it froze Cam for just a second and not able to get there.
It didn't have that into the bat sound to it. And Snyder took the full swing. Herron laces one to center right at Cameron, and he's got it for the out. The inning ends, but Justin Upton, a 450-foot home run, puts the Diamondbacks ahead 4-1.
Pink Brewers caps packages start at just $56. A portion of the proceeds goes to the Susan G. Komen for the Cure's Milwaukee affiliate. Visit brewers.com/the Cure for information.
It's a big charity that Bill Hall is involved with, and Hall, of course, a big supporter of the Mother's Day cause for Susan B. Komen Foundation. Somebody must have just asked Upton if he got it all. He goes, I think so.
Never admit it.
450 feet.
Always say you have something left.
It takes 460 feet to register on the all-time longest home runs here at Miller Park. But it was no doubt impressive.
Might have been one of the longest to left field that we've seen.
Bounced off the facing of the Metavante Club, deep in left field. And all of the big home runs, the record home runs here at Miller Park by left-handed batters. Adam Dunn, Russell Brandon's on that list a couple of times. Fielder.
Yeah, Adam Dunn went up in a dudek a few years ago.
And for some reason, he's not on this list. Who's in charge of the home run distance? Would that be Mike Vasallo?
Yeah.
I think he missed one there. Duffy down on strikes, and he's barking at Mike Everett.
That ball did look high. It looked like the ball came back and caught the corner, but it might have been up, might have been too close to take. Some good late movement, runs back over the plate, and I think Chris Duffy might have had an argument there just below the letters. We had a question yesterday about the strike zone. I've been catching some heat about it.
Is that right? What do you mean?
The rule book says it's from the knees to the letters.
Yes, it does.
But it's not called that way.
Never, unless, well, it's been called that way the last two nights.
Yeah. But it's usually anything over the belt is not called a strike. There are those that think I don't know the rule book. So I want to clarify.
You know the rule book. And actually, I like the knees to the letters. You wish it was called at the letters. Then you make your letters higher on you put your letters right up around your neckline.
Wear a scarf with your letters. Yeah. Actually put the letters around your belt buckle. That's where you want it to be.
Yeah.
Hitters want it low.
Hitters want it low. Pitchers want it up there around the neck. You put it on the helmet for all they care. But it's not called that way. That's just the way it is.
Right.
The question always comes up. Why isn't it called according to the rule book? We'll have to ask Bruce Frimming that. The strike zone does change by the hitter. That was a question we had the other day. And that's where the knees to the letters comes into play.
Or the belt.
Or the belt. The realistic strike zone. Hall dumps one into right. Base hit. So Bill Hall with a single. Let's see if the Brewers can chip away.
Well, Billy got a fastball. It was off the outside corner, and Brewers have not gotten too many very aggressive swings against Dan Herron. There it is. That was that cut fastball, and Billy just able to serve it out to right field. Didn't try and pull it, and a one-out base runner.
So Hall, his first hit. The Brewers now with 4 hits against Dan Herron, and Jason Kendall is up there. Former battery mate of Herron, and there is Casey McGee, who will pinch hit for Looper. Kendall trying to give him a chance to be the tying run. He chased one, 0-2.
Yeah, tonight there's only one left-handed bat on Ken Macha's bench. That's Brad Nelson. 3 lefties in the starting lineup. That's the most he's ever had.
And if you're just joining us, J.J. Hardy and Ryan Braun out of the lineup tonight. Braun with tightness in his back. J.J. Hardy a night off, a mental break, as he has struggled at the plate this year. So the bench is a little short for Ken Macha tonight. 0-2 the count. Hall at first. That one's in the dirt. Snyder had it go between his legs, but able to recover. Well, you'd love to get Hall to second base.
You notice that set up by Chris Snyder. We've made mention of it a couple of times in this series. It almost appears that he goes up before he goes down to block a ball. Kind of wasted movement, but he's a very good defensive catcher. It works for him. Might be the biggest, tallest catcher that's in the big leagues. One of them anyway.
His elbows inside the knees. Kendall into right field. Upton positioned well, and he makes a play for the out. Out number 2. Quite a contrast, Rock, between Chris Snyder and Jason Kendall.
Well, big difference in size and flexibility. You see on the left, you got Chris Snyder. He's 6'4", 250. You can see the way he has to spread out. He's got the feet wide apart, elbows inside the knees. Sometimes that works against you reaching for a pitch. Jason Kendall, on the other hand, is able to, he looks like he's a little bit more limber. He's got the knees kind of touching a little bit. He's got the elbows outside the knees. And because of that, I think he's a little bit quicker going side to side. I mean, when you're as spread out as Chris Snyder is, it's tough to go side to side because you kind of lock yourself up. You're a little stiff. And a lot of that is because of his size. He can't do anything about it.
Now here is Casey McGee pinch hitting with 2 outs, and Herron starts him with a breaking ball. McGee 1 for 3 as a pinch hitter this year. He is 2 for 8 at the plate. But he has not seen the field in a while. Look out. Almost took out Kurt Gibson over there.
Got to show him where the pine tar rag is. And no, he will not break his smile. He will not smile on that. Oh, there it goes. About as intense as it gets, Kurt Gibson, when he was a player and now as a coach.
Bob Melvin's bench coach in Arizona.
You ever see Gibby when he goes on the field? Lineups.
Even for the exchange of the lineups.
Right. Sprints out.
That's right.
Sprints back. Always runs when he's on the field.
Still hits the field running. One of the all-time gamers.
He was a broadcaster for the Tigers.
You know, it's an interesting little connection with Kirk Gibson. Connor Jackson grew up a Dodger fan. He was in the stadium in '88 when Gibson hit that winning home run against Eckersley and the A's. He was talking about what a thrill it was when Jackson was in the big leagues to be able to coexist with the man he grew up just idolizing in Los Angeles. Jackson was only 6 years old when Gibson hit that home run, but he was in the stadium that night. One of the most dramatic home runs in the history of baseball.
You don't see a lot of 6-year-olds at a World Series game, do you?
And McGee down on strikes, loses the bat again, and that's the inning. So Herron coming as advertised tonight. He's only given up 1 run. The Brewers down 4-1 to Dan Herron and the Diamondbacks. It's getting late at Miller Park. We head to the 8th. Retired the first 12, but the D-backs scoring 3 runs in the 5th inning. The only run for the Crew came on a Prince Fielder RBI single with 2 outs. It scored Ricky Weeks. The very next inning, Justin Upton hit one of the longest home runs ever to left field here. And it's 4-1 Arizona. And the Brewers getting all they want of Dan Herron tonight. 9 strikeouts for the Diamondback starter. He's only given up 4 hits and 1 run. Coming off a complete game his last time out. So Looper is out. He was pinch hit for. And it's going to be Seth McClung, Big Red, on the mound for appearance number 10. Yeah,
Seth's been throwing the ball pretty good. He's been throwing his curveball over for strikes. His velocity's been pretty good in his 10th game here tonight. Giving up a home run and a .222 opponent batting average. A lot of those walks came early in the year.
Got to keep the Diamondbacks right where they are at 4 runs. Cannot afford to go down any more at this point. Top of the order for McClung here. It's Lopez to lead it off, then Ojeda. A couple of switch hitters. And then a lefty in Tracy. The Brewers 12-11 on the year. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. After they were at 4-9 to start. Swept the 3-game series against the Pirates to start this homestand. Won the first game of this series and then lost a tough one last night. Earlier today, the Cubs beat the Marlins 6-1. Ted Lilly pitched 8 innings and had a key hit in that game. So Chicago back over 500 at 12-11. Off the foot of McClung into center field, a base hit. And Lopez on base to start the 8th.
He waited back nicely on that breaking pitch. McClung's had a lot of confidence in that curveball his last handful of outings. And check out the way Felipe Lopez able to wait back, not over swinging and knocking it right off Seth's foot.
Here's Augie Ojeda. The Cardinals lost today. Washington beat them 6-1. St. Louis had the best record in the major leagues, and they dropped one in Washington today. Cardinals are 17-8. Started the day 4.5 games ahead of the Brewers in the Central Division. Houston was in Atlanta. Astros put Jose Valverde on the disabled list yesterday. They got LaTroy Hawkins closing games now. And the Astros beat the Braves 5-1. Tim Burdack picked up his first win. Lance Berkman, home run number 6. You've been paying attention to that Phillies Mets series at all?
I have.
That one's always got a little angst to it. They went 10 innings today, and the Phillies won it 6-5. There's a base hit to right. Not a good start here for McClung and the Brewers. Back-to-back singles, and 2 on with nobody out. Well, just a reminder, in just 10 minutes you'll get your most important news and complete first alert weather on CBS 58 News every single night in the first 10 minutes. Not 10 minutes from now, but in the first 10 minutes of that show. That's not a bad look.
Raleigh Fingers in the house.
Kind of a Raleigh Fingers Payne Stewart hybrid. Ibanez homing again, Rock, for the Phillies, number 8.
Something else.
Man, what a start, huh?
What a way to start his career in Philly. Nothing like getting the Philly fans on your side quick.
Well, he had a walk-off home run against the Padres. Had a walk-off grand slam just a couple of days ago. It's his 8th home run against the Mets today.
Yeah, he's going to like that ballpark. He's going to like hitting in Philly.
Ibanez has already driven in 21 runs. From Safeco Field to Citizens Bank Park.
Night and day. Like the different opposites. I mean, exact opposites, those ballparks.
Phillies now lead the National League in home runs as a team, surpassing the Brewers. They're up over 30. Brewers are at 29. Jorge Julio in case McClung runs into any more trouble. Back-to-back singles to start the inning in the 8th. McClung could use a double play ball in a bad way here as Tracy skies one to center. Cameron drifting back. Lopez is going to tag. Here comes the throw from Cameron. Both runners tag and both make it.
Well, you got to wonder about that throw. That ball's got to go into second base. You're able to keep the double play alive. I mean, that ball hit deep enough that you're not going to be able to get Lopez at third base. I mean, no way. Lopez runs pretty well. I think Cam realized threw the wrong base. Heads up base running by Ojeda to get into second.
Ojeda tagged, but he waited to see where that throw was headed. And now Mark Reynolds will bat with runners at second and third. 4-1 D-backs. They scored 3 runs in the 5th, got a home run from Justin Upton in the 7th. And Dan Herron locking down the Brewers through 7 innings. The only run was a fielder RBI single with 2 outs. Plenty of power waiting for Arizona.
Yeah, how about his outing yesterday? Wow. Talk about a slider. One of the best we've seen all year.
Tony Pena picked up his 3rd win of the year last night. He's got more wins than Dan Herron. How's that possible? Herron 2-3. But the 2nd best ERA in the National League. Ball and 2 strikes on Reynolds.
That's a good curveball right there. Located down in the zone. Nice, quick, sharp break on it. Really could use a strikeout here, and he's got the guy at the plate to do it.
Reynolds has struck out 25 times this year. He's among the league leaders. 2nd and 3rd for Arizona. Reynolds doubled and scored in the 5th. He had the first hit of the game for Arizona. And he chased one. McClung strikes him out. Well-placed breaking ball for Seth McClung, and that's out number 2.
Well, kept it down in the zone, and again, the late break on the curveball, the reason why Reynolds not able to get a piece of it. That's a lot shorter break than the curveballs that we're used to from Seth McClung, more like a slider. He's been tinkering around a slider. I think that's what that was.
Well, you put a slider in McClung's mix, and look out. If he can get command of it with his power fastball, that could be something else. I mean, you're looking at a potential closer here if that happens.
Well, you add a slider to the mix, he might be a pretty good starter.
That's a good point.
I mean, ordinarily, you know, with Seth, he's 2 pitches, fastball, curveball. You get another pitch in his hand, and you might see him in that starting rotation at some point. Maybe not this year, but down the road.
McClung will face Justin Upton. McClung did make a few starts for the Brewers last year. Pretty much pitched all over in every role for the Crew last season. He was a big part of the playoff run last year. Upton swings away. Hall's got it. And a good throw. So McClung gets out of it. Maybe that's a sign of things to come.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change locations. Call 414-902-4000 for details.
Chris Young in the game in center field. Burns is out. So Melvin going with the speed in Young. And Dan Herron back on the mound. He starts his 8th inning of work. He's at 97 pitches.
His
just barely over 100 in a complete game his last time out last Sunday against the Giants. Excuse me, last Monday against the Cubs. And Ricky Weeks lines one to center. Young is right there. Boy, Weeks hit that right on the nose. Making a bid at his second hit against Herron. He lines out for out number one.
Well, they got activity on that bullpen for the Diamondbacks, but don't expect Dan Herron to exit this game anytime soon. Fastball out away from Ricky. Hits it right back through the middle. Unfortunately, right at Young in center. Good approach by Weeks. Now, the bullpen for the Diamondbacks has not been very good, but they pitched pretty well last night.
Their winning version of the bullpen is not bad. They've got plenty of arms, that's for sure. They've got a lot of high velocity pitchers. Tony Pena and Chad Qualls, kind of the 1-2 combo to set up and close. And when they're in that position, they are pretty good this year. They've only blown one save. Qualls, you won't see him till the 9th. Melvin's got Schoenweiss, the lefty, in case Fielder should come up in this inning. And the Brewers would love nothing more than to have some base runners on for Prince Fielder and force the hand of Bob Melvin.
Yeah, base runners have been tough to come by, at least a couple of base runners. Having a tough time getting multi-hit innings put together on this homestand. They've done it once tonight.
Counsell, a former Diamondback, hoping to get aboard. He's 0 for 3, making his second consecutive start at shortstop. Had 3 hits last night. And down he goes. Big sweeping breaking ball from Dan Herron. Out number 2, strikeout number 10.
Boy, nasty pitch. 3-2 count. You figure you're going to get a fastball up by 3 runs, and there it goes, splitter. That is a tough pitch. Actually, slider. Whatever it is, it's a tough pitch.
Nasty, and he's had them all going tonight. As good as his outing was against the Cubs, this one at this point is a little better. Has as many strikeouts and 1 fewer run. And to back up a complete game with an opportunity at another complete game says a lot. His pitch count in great shape. It's only at 106 with 2 outs in the 8th. 70 of those strikes. Herron has 7 career complete games. Has not had multiple complete games in a season since he pitched for Ken Maka back in Oakland. And down goes Hart. Strikeout number 11. Dan Herron just dominating the Brewers through 8 innings. An impressive performance by one of the best in baseball. Have a little fun here at Miller Park. That's what it's all about. 42,000, another sellout. The fourth sellout of the year. Feldco called to the pen. It's Jorge Julio, who's pitching well as of late for the Brewers.
His slider has been pretty good. He's able to get ahead with the fastball, throw the slider to put some hitters away. Pitched a scoreless inning last night, including a couple of strikeouts.
$42,422, the official announced attendance. And sellout number 4. The Brewers have nearly drawn 500,000 already. Another big crowd expected tomorrow. Ryan Braun bobblehead day. We're back on Fox Sports Wisconsin tomorrow afternoon. Game starts at 1:05. We're on the air at 12:30. Dave Bush against Yusmeiro Petit. That is a fair ball down the line. Jackson thinking about second and wisely holds up. Duffy played that one to perfection off the angled wall out there down the left field line.
Well, not fair by very much. C.B. Buckner had to get out of the way and make the call all in the same motion. Connor Jackson with his second base hit. That one nearly hit the third base umpire. Popping the hips open, ball up and in, not even a strike. You can see C.B. Buckner able to get out of the way and call it fair.
Doing his best Dick Bavetta move down there.
Who?
Longtime NBA referee, Dick Bavetta, who used to have a very similar turnover call where he'd skip around and point.
Okay. Next time you use that, I'll know what it is.
Jim Paschke would know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Jimmy's been at the ballpark a couple of times his homestand.
Say hi to Jim and John, Bucks announcers. Dick Bavetta, one of the all-time characters in the NBA.
That's the guy. I forgot his name already.
He's kind of be the Bruce Fremming of NBA referees.
Ron Luciano, maybe.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
What a character.
Yeah.
He's the guy who raced Charles Barkley a few years back at the All-Star game. I'm sure you were watching that.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Young's first at bat. And he's down 1-2. That's Dick Bavetta, Rock.
I'm writing it down.
Okay. Bavetta. That'll give you a conversation point with Jim Paschke next time you see him.
Yeah.
Good way to start the conversation. Chris Young came into the game last inning defensively for Eric Burns. And his first at bat. Young started the first 2 nights. Another guy with plenty of power in his bat. He's a lot like Justin Upton in that regard. He's a few years older, but kind of an untamed talent at this point. Diamondbacks feel like he's going to hit, and hit with a lot of power. He's a good center fielder, has a lot of speed.
Up amongst league leaders in doubles.
There's the matchup tomorrow, Bill Schroeder. Yusmeiro Petit and Dave Bush.
Well, Cy Young would look good to the Brewers after Dan Herron tonight.
You mean the Cy Young?
Yeah.
You know, Cy Young, he won over 500 games, but he lost over 300 games.
Yeah.
I mean, he lost a lot.
Very durable.
Yes, he was. Speaking of durability.
Like Dick Bavetta? How many years did he have in?
Dick Bavetta he's still working. At least 20.
Oh, he is?
30 maybe.
He's still working?
Still a referee.
Okay.
Still entertaining audiences everywhere. Runner takes off, swing and a miss. Kendall can't find the handle. And that'll be a stolen base for Jackson. Julio strikes out Chris Young.
Man, not sure that Jason would have had a shot at Connor Jackson anyway. Transfer, he bobbles it, then drops it. Stolen base. Connor Jackson doesn't run all that much. Diamondbacks really haven't run a whole lot in this series, and early in the year, at least last year, they ran quite a bit.
Tony Clark in the on-deck circle. He'll hit next. He had the big hit last night, the 2 RBI double. Stretched the lead. Snapped a 2-2 tie. Runner at second, 1 out. 4-1 Diamondbacks. We play in the 9th inning. Snyder had a big hit in the 5th. He doubled down the line, swung at the first pitch from Looper and drove in 2 runs. That made it 3-0. Diamondbacks had a run in at the time. Looper went 7 tonight, gave up 6 hits and 4 runs, all of them earned.
Well, so far, certainly that double by Snyder, the turning point. Looper able to get him out, then he's got the pitcher. The Brewers only down 1-0.
Looper's longest outing of the year, and is going to count on his offense to take him off the hook. It's going to have to be a dramatic 9th inning comeback for Ken Macha's Brewers tonight. First things first, though, Julio has to get the Brewers to the dugout, still only trailing by 3 as the D-backs threaten in the 9th.
A good fastball, 95 miles an hour that time by Julio, with some pretty good sink on it, some late sink. It's kind of fastball that Billy Castro has been looking for Julio to throw a more consistent basis.
Two and two to the Diamondbacks catcher. Julio taking a lot of time between pitches. Trying to keep Connor Jackson close. Snyder with 2 hits. Only time they retired him, he lined out to second. And Julio misses. 3-2 the count. It was scoreless until the Diamondbacks scored 3 in the 5th. They got 4 hits in that inning. Snyder, the last hit. Dan Herron just waiting his turn. He's been in the rocking chair tonight. He's gone 8 complete. Julio strikes out Snyder. Tied him up. Good pitch. Big fastball from Jorge Julio, and it's back-to-back strikeouts. And 2 gone. And here comes Tony Clark. Clark pinch hit last night, and it was ruled a double, and a costly one at that. 2 runs came in to score. Ken Macha barking at Brian Gorman. Gorman still insists that it hit the extreme corner of the line.
Pretty good eyesight. Looked like to everybody else in the ballpark it was foul, including Tony Clark. But it doesn't matter what anybody thinks but Brian Gorman.
That's right. And Ken Maka was the first one after the game to say that double didn't beat us. It was the 2-out walk that hurt. Also a 2-out hit in that inning. And don't forget, the Brewers had their chances to score some runs.
And that's the thing I'm just getting ready to say. I mean, when you're not scoring a lot of runs and they're all low-scoring games, plays like that really become big, important plays. You know, a 2-out walk all of a sudden becomes a big deal. You're scoring 6-7 runs, it really doesn't matter.
A key moment last night was in the 6th inning. The Brewers had 2 on, nobody out, and John Garland struck out Braun, Fielder, and Cameron to end the inning. So where the Brewers could not capitalize with an early rally, the Diamondbacks could. Now they lead 4-1 here in the 9th. And Clark sends one down the line foul, slicing into the seats. That is a foul ball. Clark's been around a long time. He's been a key contributor for the Diamondbacks last few years. He ended up in San Diego last year, but then back with the Diamondbacks this season.
And he started his career with the Detroit Tigers. I mean, big, tall, switch hitter. Good power from both sides of the plate.
Tony the Tiger, they called him. And Julio strikes him out. Kendall's got to secure it over at first. He does so. So 3 strikeouts for Julio. Herron is out. Here comes Qualls. And Arizona has a lead 4-1 as we head to the bottom of the 9th. Let's get you caught up to this point. 4-game reset. Dan Herron lights out. 8 innings, 11 strikeouts for Herron. Coming off a 10 strikeout performance his last time out. The Diamondbacks got a big inning in the 5th. 3 runs scored. Snyder with a big hit, a 2 RBI double. And then Justin Upton launched one into the Metavante club in the 7th inning. That made it 4-1, and that's where we sit. And the Brewers down to their last 3 outs. But anybody other than Dan Herron will do at this point.
Including Chad Qualls, who's looking for his 6th save of the year. Qualls, a sinker ball specialist.
Qualls getting the chance to close regularly for the first time. Did have 9 saves last year as Fielder swats one foul. Brandon Lyon departed the Diamondbacks for the Detroit Tigers, and the job was given to Qualls. He's only blown 1 save this year and a sparkling ERA.
Look at the strikeout to walks. 13 strikeouts, only 1 walk
in just 9 innings. Qualls picked up save number 5 last night. He gave up a leadoff infield hit to Counsell and then quickly got a double play and then a strikeout to end it. So he faced only 3 batters last night. Fielder responsible for the only RBI. He drove in Weeks in the 6th with a 2-out hit. There's a big bouncer out to Lopez and 1 away. So when you get this kind of pitching against you, it has that look of a lackadaisical effort, but it's just good pitching.
Yeah, good pitching, and there's that sinker again. Looked like Prince had a pitch to hit. The ball got to the zone. He kind of dove on him and got on top of it. Ain't nothing wrong with the Brewers pitching today. I mean, you talk about giving up 4 runs, 9 innings. Ordinarily, that's going to win your ball game.
Cameron down the line. That's a fair ball. That'll go for extras. Cameron on his way to second. He's in there with a double. That was just fair. And the Brewers have a little life in the ninth.
Well, get another man on and maybe somebody can knock one out of here. They're due to hit a long ball. It's been a while. That's what they do so well. Cameron getting a pitch in on him. Didn't sink too much. Able to tuck it inside that third baseline. It's been a busy night down there for C.B. Buckner. He's had a couple of tough calls.
So Cameron with a double, another extra base hit, his 15th of the year. And he is the National League leader in extra base hits this year. The tying run still in the on-deck circle. And Duffy would love to give Bill Hall a chance at it here in the ninth. Duffy making only a 2nd start of the year. In there for Ryan Braun. Bill Hall would be next, sitting on 99 career home runs. Four to 1 D-backs. Can the Brewers mount a rally? That's a good rally hat. Duffy chased.
Yeah, that's got some good late life on it. Duffy thought he had a pitch to hit. And watch what it does as it gets to the plate. See you later.
Man.
Some big movement with some velocity.
Power sinker from Chad Qualls. Here's hoping it works. Cameron's got a good lead at second. He should score on a base hit. And Duffy chases one down in the zone. And down he goes for out number 2.
Yeah, went sinker, then went slider. Ball going away from Duffy. Then he goes with one down and in. 12th strikeout by the Diamondbacks pitching staff tonight.
So the Crew down to their final out, and it'll be Bill Hall. Tying run still in the on-deck circle. As Qualls makes a bid at save number 6. Series finale tomorrow. Dave Bush for the Brewers. This the swing game in the 4-game set. Strike 1. Kendall would be next. Strike, slider in there. And now Bill Hall in a deep hole at the plate with 2 outs. Brewers down to their last strike. Qualls looks like he's got his good stuff tonight. And Hall, little chopper, and now he's going to stay fair, but Cameron runs into the out.
Oh boy!
And the ball game is over. That would have been a base hit for Hall, but Cameron runs right into the out, and that's how it ends. Boy, one to forget tonight. The Brewers get dominated by the Arizona pitchers. Herron goes 8. Qualls picks up his 6th save. And this game ends on a strange play at third base.
Well, Mike Cameron figured, I'm just going to waltz on over there to third base. The only play for Reynolds is to tag him out, and that's the way the game ends. Crazy. Well, the tying run would have been able to come to home plate had Cameron stayed put. A bang-bang decision, and not a good one.
So the Diamondbacks win it 4-1.